compliance with the Open Meetings Act, the Verona Board of Education passed a resolution at its meeting held on December 15, 2016. The meeting sets forth the schedule of its regular meetings, which resolution was within 7 days of passage. The schedule was sent to the Verona Seabrook Times, the Star Ledger, the Herald News, the Township of Verona, and the Verona Education Association. Postings of this meeting setting forth the time, location, and agenda were posted in each of Verona's 6 schools, the board office, and town hall. This posting was also sent to the above newspapers, all SCA presidents and SCA liaisons. The Verona Board of Education operates under consent agenda format. Any board member has a right to have an item pulled to be voted upon or discussed separately. Copies of tonight's agenda and resolutions have been made available to the public present. Mrs. Bernardino, Mr. Day,
Here.
Mr. Elliott,
Here.
Mrs. Fresky, here, Mr. Quattrochi.
Here. Okay, welcome to our second meeting here in May, and we have a couple of presentations tonight. And before we get into those, we have any public comment or question about any agenda? All right, then we will have first Mr. Cogdill, principal of VHS, and presenting our students of the month.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I think the first one we're starting off with is Kitty Pagano. Kitty, the student month of March, but you weren't able to make it probably because studying in band and jazz band and all the other amazing things you do. Again, to reminder of what the committee is. The committee is made up of Dr. Meyer, Mrs. Sepsi, Mrs. Macon, Mr. Scott, and Mr. Lancaster. They receive nominations for Student of the Month. They review them and they select from a great candidate pool up for Student of the Month. So Kitty Pagano has earned a B- or all A's in the third marking period. This includes a super class, Introduction Creative Nonfiction, U.S. History 2, AP Physics, French 4 Honors, Band, AP Comp Sci, Physical Education, and Advanced Art. Kitty has 0 unexcused tardies at school this year, and Kitty's consistently demonstrated the commitment to the collaboration and responsibility to 2 of our main core values. Mr. Wirtz said, Kitty Pagano has been a model student and a role model for young women who will follow in her footsteps at VHS. During class, she works from bell to bell, actively participating in the classroom discussions and collaborating with her classmates. Kitty is enthusiastic about school and cares deeply about learning. She asks great questions which provoke deeper learning and understanding, not just for herself, but for her classmates and her teachers. I am proud of what Kitty has achieved at VHS. And those that have gone to the jazz concert know that she can play a wicked guitar. So you combine all those brains with all those guitar skills, she's a powerful force, and congratulations. Okay, now moving on to April. For the 9th grade, it's Erin Petrino. Erin has earned an A or greater in all of her classes this school year. This includes Honors English, AP World History, Honors Biology, Physical Education, French 2, Honors Algebra 2, and Digital Arts. Erin has not been tardy to school a single day this school year, on time, punctuality, right? Okay. She consistently demonstrates a commitment to responsibility and diligence, 2 of our core values. Mrs. Morkovich said that Erin is a mature young lady who is extremely conscientious, very well organized, and academically driven. She's curious, likes to be challenged, and always goes the extra mile, not because she needs to, but because she wants to. Congratulations and welcome to VHS. We're proud of you. David Karpinski, where are you at? Sorry, there you are. Okay. David earned an A or greater in 4 classes and a B- or greater in 3 classes during his third marking period. This includes English 2, Drama, Chemistry, Spanish 3, Physical Education, Choir, and Geometry. David has also not been late one time this year. I think you're seeing a theme here. Being on time matters. He has consistently demonstrated a commitment to integrity and collaboration. Again, another 2 of our core values. Mr. Scott said, David showed tremendous personal and intellectual growth all year, epitomized by his accomplishments in April. As chemistry challenges have become harder and more mathematical, David has excelled. He understands difficult challenge problems on a level few ever have, and quickly completes even the most difficult classwork and helps his peers to master the concepts and skills. Moreover, David is an infectious, optimistic person and quite confident that makes the whole classroom a better place. Not to mention, you're a pretty good actor, great thespian, every play you've been in I've loved, and congratulations. Grace Galt. Grace has earned a B+ or greater in all of her third marking period classes. This includes AP English, U.S. History 2, Physical Education, Mandarin 4, Honors, AP Physics, Honors Pre-Calc, Graphic Design, Chamber Choir, and AP Comp Sci. Grace conscientiously demonstrates a commitment to respect and collaboration as well. Mrs. Mudovic says that Grace has become one of the top students in AP Comp Sci principles. Once a student who has asked others for assistance, she is now a student whom her classmates seek for guidance. In the most recent assignment, one that the entire class had found difficult, Grace had finished the assignment first. This is a huge feat considering the vast number of experienced programmers in the course. She put her mind to completing a website that accessed an SQL database for the band trip, so she would not have to worry about the task file away. Way to do that. And those of you that went to the spring musical, she has pipes. An amazing singer. I thought for a minute I might have snuck into a Broadway musical, which was amazing. She did an amazing job. Congratulations. And Brooke Harrington, grade 12. For the third mark period, Brooke has earned an A- or greater in 5 classes and a B or greater in 2 classes. It includes AP English Lit, Drama, Physical Education, AP US Government, AP Calc, Band, and AP Music Theory. Brooke has consistently demonstrated a commitment to initiative and responsibility. Mr. Wenton said, Brooke has a great attitude, she's a fantastic player, and she is the strongest leader in our band. Now the funny thing is about Brooke is and I had to ask her what it's called again because I always mess this up. I don't know if it's a xylophone or a glockenspiel, but it's a marimba, right? And I think she's cutting class because she's always practicing. And every time I go down there, she's practicing, and she's so good at it. And you were at the spring musical, you know, she was sitting out to the stage and left, so you had to really notice that she was there, but it really added to the entire experience. The amount of work that goes into playing that instrument, I can't imagine. And it's hard, too, because if you know what I'm talking about, the big thing with the xylophone, it's not like she's carting that back and forth from home to school. So she has spent a lot of time in school practicing that instrument, and it's a lot to be proud of. Congratulations. Y'all mind if we take a quick photo?
Okay, we're going to carry on with our second of our 2 presentations. Tonight is a group presentation with all our meeting principals on our climate conservation action plan. And this is a form of update. And I think Ms. Studo is going to lead us up.
Walk into this action plan and be able to know what areas we need So after speaking to my SAA officers about this area, we attributed part of this concern to just lack of involvement in the SEA or not knowing the ways to get involved in those programs. So one of the action steps within Brookdale's action plan was to form a committee comprised of staff and some SEA officers to identify areas where parents feel their input is lacking. So this committee met back in March. We did a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats surrounding parent involvement. Our conversations all basically led back to communication. So we have another area for building overall communication, which I'll get to in a couple minutes. But the one thing that this group felt is that we really wanted to do a better job of ensuring that parents in our community knew how to get involved in the SEA, knew how to, where meetings were, when they were. So those were some recommendations that this committee brought back to our SEA, and hopefully we will continue to improve upon them in the future to ensure that not just those members that are already involved, but the greater Brookdale population feels that their voices are heard within that SEA forum. Next, I had extracurricular activities as an area for growth, and I think it is really important to note the small percentage of parents that did complete this survey at Brookdale. We currently have 135 students. Back when the survey was given 2 years ago, there were 9 parents who completed it, so it was a pretty low percentage. But needless to say, everyone's voice should be heard, and if an area is a concern for one, it might be a concern for more. So the extracurricular action step was again to develop a committee of parents, teachers, and work together to try to improve upon this area. So I asked for volunteers as a subcommittee of my SEA and a few teacher representatives to explore the feasibility of having some extracurricular offerings within the school. One of the positives that we discussed in this area was that Brookdale already has some lunch and recess programs. During the winter months, we're cold outside and the kids are not going outside for recess. We do have a lunchtime Lego program and a lunchtime yoga program completely paid for by the SEA, which is a great resource for the kids, and really a high percentage of our students participate in it. So that was an area of strength that we discussed as extracurricular activities at Brookdale. The committee felt, though, when we first met, that there was such a small percentage of parents that did complete this survey that we didn't really know what the needs were in terms of extracurriculars. So they wanted to send out another survey specific to that area. So we did develop a survey focusing on this need, and we got 65 responses to the survey, which at Brookdale we have roughly 90 families, so we thought that 65 was a nice number to participate in. And of those 65, 78.5% of them are definitely interested in after-school activities taking place at Brookdale, so we knew there was a need. And then 80% of those who completed the survey are also willing to pay for some type of enrichment. So the committee went on to explore some different options. We also collected some information about the types of extracurricular activities. STEM is a big one, a lot of interest in. It seems like a lot of the things that kids are not already getting outside of school. Kids go to sports, kids take cooking classes in Verona. So with some of those other ones that maybe they don't have opportunities to be enriched upon outside of school. So we explored some different options, and as a result of this committee, actually one of the companies that we were looking at is called Flex Academies that would come into Brookdale, offer some extracurricular enrichment for our students, completely run by our SEA. So it's something that my SEA is going to continue to explore, and some of the other elementary principals might touch upon that as well. Then the quality of homework. Throughout the year, at faculty meetings, our staff has talked about meaningful homework, what it should look like, when to give homework. Really, I think general rule of thumb, in my personal opinion, is if you're giving homework, you need to be looking at the homework. So we don't want homework to be given just for the sake of giving it and feeling like it's a sign. We want the kids to see the meaning behind it, the parents to see the meaning behind it, and we want the teachers to use it to inform their instruction. So those are conversations that we're continuing to have to ensure that parents feel that homework is really meaningful at the elementary level. The next two, the teacher-student relationships and parent-teacher communication, really kind of went together on Brookdale's action plan, in that the action item for both of them was to encourage staff to be proactive in contacting parents regarding students' concern and growth that are both positive and negative. And that was really something that I stressed as a new principal coming into the building, personally wanting to develop and maintain relationships with parents, with teachers, with students. That's something that I've modeled for the teachers and ensured that anytime that they're communicating with parents, positive and negative, I've asked them to copy me on emails, include me in meetings, and I really feel that the teachers, just from informal feedback that I've gotten from parents, the parents feel that those relationships that teachers have with students and with themselves as parents has really been improved. And then lastly, just in terms of overall building communication, throughout the year coming in, I think it was important for me to investigate the current forms of communication that were used at Brookdale, specifically including our website and our school calendar, because those are two of the venues where parents are going to get most of their information. We've kept our website current throughout the year, ensured that teachers put relevant information for parents to see on their own sites. We have a school Google Calendar that we update regularly, and that's linked on our website as well, so parents have complete and full access to ensure that they know what's going on within the building. And then another avenue that's really received positive feedback, I think, at Brookdale this year is the use of Twitter. And I think Twitter is really a great source for parents to get a glimpse of what's happening inside their child's classroom on a daily basis. Pictures allow parents to really see the learning that's taking place, and I think it's a really great form of communication. I started Twitter as a building principal, just taking pictures of the things happening at the beginning of the year, and then it sort of spiraled, and teachers got interested, and they were asking questions, and what are you doing with these pictures? And now actually every elementary teacher at Brookdale, classroom teachers all have their own Twitter pages, and they post pictures of things that their students are learning, and then many other staff members within Brookdale have Twitter as well. So it's a nice way for the parents to see really what's happening on a daily basis. And then of course, emails to parents are kept regular, and then we send hard copies of things home as well. And communication is something that we can always improve upon. It's going to be something that we continue to assess and continue to have conversations about, because as technologies evolve, as things change, we want to ensure that the parents still feel that they are being communicated to effectively.
Okay, good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeff Monselli, principal of Forest Avenue School. And the climate survey, just, so we all understand that, and it goes for all 6 of the schools. We got a lot of positive things from this climate survey. And tonight we're not here to report on the positives, we're reporting on the action steps for the areas for growth. But there were so many positive things, and as Ms. Studo said, that we wish the survey did have a greater parent participation. As far as we had at the time this was done, we had about 220 students, roughly 180 families, which gives you around 360 parents, and I had 27 responses. Teachers, we had around 22 staff members, 13 responses, which is pretty much half. And then students, we did it with our 3rd and 4th grade students 100%, because we brought them down to the computer lab and said, take the survey. So that was pretty good, right? Maybe we should do it at back to school night and give everybody a Chromebook or something. So you take things with a grain of salt, but we wanted to look at things that stood out in the surveys, especially in the comments. So that's where we drew our areas that we wanted to see growth. First one for us was student interest in school and learning to reduce boredom. So you know where that came from, the students. They wanted things to make things more interesting. So how do you do that? Well, one thing was we at Forest had grade level assemblies. Each grade level was responsible for doing an assembly every year. We were here at the board meeting doing the Reuse It Museum, where they took that curriculum piece from the science curriculum and did a grade level assembly. So that's one thing that makes it more hands-on, more interactive, more research-based. We have a new media specialist this year, and she did a lot of, wherever she had gaps in her schedule, we assigned her time where she can do research or computer work with students, and she worked heavily this year with 4th grade teachers to do some of the research when they were doing projects in their classroom. So the teacher might keep 10 or 12 of the students upstairs, she would take 10 or 12 downstairs, and they would be getting work done collaboratively, and it makes it fun for the students and more interesting. And then the big thing that made things better were the Chromebooks, especially with the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, really the 3rd and 4th grade students have really started to use the Google Classroom, just Chromebooks for their work, being able to hand things in that way, made it really great. And so one of the things that we're happy about, and part of the action plan would be that budget-wise, we reallocated some funds, and we're looking by next year between getting in, for Forest, getting another cart through the district technology money, and then another cart through the building budget by taking some things out and, using the money for that through a lease purchase. Hopefully by next year, we'll have a 2-to-1 ratio for grades 1 to 4, which I think is great, and that'll help make things much more interesting as well. The second one is perception of kids feeling picked on, and this was right around, I believe this was roughly 2015. In September of 2015, we fully implemented the conflict resolution program from the New Jersey State Bar Foundation. Really, it started out with Dr. Lanzo a couple years before that, where FM Brown had done it, and it had tremendous success. So the other 3 elementary schools jumped on board, had teachers trained, formed character ed committees, and this tied in really nicely with this because now there is a program where teachers are instructing. There's a curriculum they follow. We have assemblies. There's guidelines, and there's a common language that we use, these win-win guidelines for conflict. And it really, I've noticed, it helped on discipline referrals and less incidents of HIV and whatnot at that level. And I think that's a real positive, and that comes directly from implementing that program. And around the same time the survey was put out. So that actually was happening anyway. It wasn't necessarily a result of this, but it was happening around the same time. The third area, the nutritional value of the hot lunch program, that was roughly a year or so into the hot lunch where we offered, Pomptonian offered lunches to the elementary schools, and they put out, usually you get, every day you can get a special or another 3 choices that are pretty standard, and that's where we're looking at the nutritional piece. The specials sometimes might be pizza or tacos, etc. But there's always now a choice where there's a turkey sandwich, grilled chicken Caesar, or a yogurt packed with fruit. So there are other options now, and part of it was parents contacted Pomptonian, expressed these things to them, and they listened. And we roughly have 40 to 60% of the kids each day that take part in that hot lunch program. Depending on what the lunch is. Pizza day, it's a little bit higher. Taco day is a little bit lower. So, but the nutritional value, I think there are healthy choices there. Or you can bring your lunch, would be the other choice. But we try to say, to help parents out, working parents, they really like having this option. And actually, Pomptonian, beginning this year, now it's all online. So you can actually go on the night before if you want to order lunch tomorrow, up to midnight. So it's really easy now to look and say, oh, I want to get this, or I don't want that. And you always have those options of the turkey, the salad, or the yogurt pack. Parents requesting the after-school curricular activities. This survey that we used, and you could see some of the common threads, Brookdale had a similar one. It was kind of a survey that was standard from the state. So elementary schools generally don't have extracurriculars. It's usually middle and high school. So the question, in a way, was a little loaded because we don't have it. There really isn't after-school program. So, but as a result, at the beginning of this school year, the elementary principals met with a group, a company, out-of-state company that provided some enrichment activities. And we went through and we were asking their procedures and how that things work. And it just didn't sound good about, well, what happens when there's a day where a teacher doesn't show up? Who handles that? What happens when there's a discipline problem? There were just too many holes there, and they couldn't provide information. We didn't feel comfortable with that group. So we've been looking in, as the students said today, the elementary principals met with a group called Flex Academies, and they sounded pretty good, and we're now looking into that to partner with our SCAs, would be the partner there. So that's something we're looking at. So I think we met that goal by trying to fill that area for our parents. The one thing that would create, though, is it would create a cost. It's not something that the SCAs could probably afford to pay for, but it would be a cost that would have to be passed on to parents. So we're looking at that now. The next area is additional time for staff collaboration. So that one came from the staff surveys. About 3 or 4 years ago, we started to have monthly grade level meetings with our staff members so that district-wide. Each grade has a meeting together headed by one of the principals. So each principal takes 1 through 4. We each have a grade. And then kindergarten, we rotate because that's earlier in the day because they finish earlier. And that's a spot for collaboration. And a lot of us are trying to take our faculty meetings and not just make them about housekeeping and procedures, but also come up with some themes that we can discuss and work on at the meetings. You know, one of my meetings, we looked at park scores and we analyzed them and we saw where our weaknesses were, how we can improve. So things like that we've been looking at. And then starting next year, we just introduced this yesterday at our grade level meetings, the elementary schools want to go to, for the grade level meetings, to professional learning communities. So we introduced what they were, got the teachers hopefully to buy into that, and hopefully next year we're going to use that format for grade level meetings. And that will allow for a lot more collaboration, a lot more input from staff, so they can feel like they're part of it. If there's an issue, they're part of the solution at that point. And then the last thing, believe it or not, was a big thing. A lot of people mentioned this, the conditions of blacktop behind Forest. It was like craters on the moon. You were going in there, right, Mr. Day? Your son was there, your daughter was there. Right, you're still in the pothole there. That was huge. It was probably 30-something years, and we use that every day for recess, after school, there's kids there. It was part of the last referendum, and that's completely checked. So that's all done.
It's not raising eyebrows, you're saying that, because I said, it can't, we just fixed it.
Yeah, no, that was, well, because this was 2015, and I think it was actually, as soon as this survey was given, it was that summer
Yes.
that it was done. So it was, again, it wasn't as a direct result, but it was on people's minds, and we had already had that in the queue for a few years when we were planning the referendum. So, anyway, I think that's all for me. Thank you. And next will be, let's see. FM Brown.
Hello, I'm Anthony Lanzo, Principal at FM Brown. We selected 3 areas of growth, and each one is multifaceted. I'd like to note that when our survey did come out, we had already rolled out conflict resolution 2 years prior, and I think that impacted a lot of the results, and we had a lot of strengths regarding conflict at the school, so that we were very happy to see that. Seek ideas about the school. So our students want to be heard and they want to provide input. So we had to decide how we would do that. Currently our 4th grade students right now are completing their memories, and we're using that informally to assess the highlights of each grade level. So every 4th grader will tell us what they enjoyed K through 4, and it's a takeaway they could take home with them. But also will be an informal assessment on our end so that we could see those things that they really enjoyed so that we know to do them again. Like our big 2nd grade picnic is overwhelmingly popular. Our peer mediators meet once a month and they give us their feedback in terms of their services, what they need, and also the needs of the school based on the conflicts that they're solving. Our classroom teachers K4 do daily class meetings, which is an opportunity for students to discuss what's happening in the class and around the school, and anything glaring the classroom teacher can share with me. And something we're going to try, I read actually an article about 2 years ago, a principal that had done this in the inner city. He actually would conduct exit interviews with each graduating middle school. So we're going to try for the first time over the next 2 weeks with our 4th graders, Mr. Wade and Mrs. Force and I. We're going to do exit interviews, and we're probably going to run them more like focus groups, and we're going to have them in. And so we'll get 39 opinions and see how we're doing, which should be fascinating from the 10 and 11-year-olds. Also, the second one was increased common planning time. Now at FM Brown, we have shared staff. We share with Brookdale. In some cases, we share with the other elementary schools as well. And now we're sharing staff, but some of the staff members are part-time, so we're sharing part-time people. So we also simultaneously traditionally, we've housed the ESL program at the elementary level and our self-contained LLD program K through 2. And this past school year, we added on the LLD 3-4 component, moved from Forest to Brown. So having these programs, which are a great service to the community, and having them housed only at FM Brown, rather than the teachers running around trying to figure out when they can speak with one another,
I had an opportunity to work with staff to rebuild the master schedule at the end of last year in conjunction with my learning consultant, Gina Benizia, special ed supervisor, and Frank Moriello, the director. And we built in common planning time, so our LLD 1 was linked to K1 and 2, and our 3-4 was linked to the 3-4 classes. And basically, if a general ed teacher has students that are serviced in a self-contained class, that they have an opportunity to plan a few times a week and just touch base what's going on so that the special ed teacher can modify and also can pre-teach and build on what the general ed teacher is doing. So we earmark certain classes to service the LLD so that we can have an alignment between 1 second grade and our self-contained LLD class. And then the other K through 4 classes are linked to the resource center. And we have replacement classes there, but we also have supplemental. And the program is very different, but that teacher also needs to communicate with the general ed teacher. So we were able to successfully do that. Our 3rd and 4th grade by default always have had common planning time with chorus. And we added in as much as we can, K1 and 2 common planning time, and we also stress to the teachers they do have the 2:45 to 3:30 time. It's just predetermining it and saying the teacher is going to want to utilize this time. We also have monthly grade level meetings where grade levels will meet district-wide, but there have been a few this year where we've allowed teachers to work independently or with their grade level in their building. And we have 2 or 3 at a grade level, although you're across the hall from another, you might not have the time to talk. So sending out an email and scheduling a date and time gently pushes people to talk and meet and so forth. Our 3rd goal was to provide additional training for support staff. Support staff meaning our paraprofessionals that are critical, and our lunch aides. So one of the things we've done is we have trained our paras and lunch aides in the conflict resolution and remediation so that they understand the model, so they can encourage and enforce and monitor at lunch and recess. So they're speaking the same language. And we also had an opportunity in the fall, anybody that was new to the district, or I should say new to FM Brown, they were able to participate in a training as well. Kudos to Frank Moriello. He's done a wonderful job this year offering training to our powers, new training modules that weren't offered in the past, and FM Brown was included in some of those trainings that were applicable to our population. And also Paula Swanger, who is the district behaviorist, she's actually, based on requested need, she's worked with our powers and partners one-on-one in small groups to help them meet the needs of their students. So, looking back just the last few years, our powers really have been afforded the opportunity for additional well-needed training. As the population changes and evolves and powers come in and out, some have been there a very long time and some are new. And one thing I'd like to mention, we have an upcoming de-escalation workshop the first Wednesday in June, where Forrest and Brown are going to partner up, and the powers will be included, and have an opportunity to work with Paula Swanger on de-escalation strategies. So, looking at 3 bullets on paper, they're multifaceted, they're very involved, and we look forward to next year building on those. And I thank the FM Brown staff because it truly is a we team effort in order for any of this to come to be. So, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sorry. I don't have a comment.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Howard Thorne, Principal, Landing Avenue School. So I inherited the results of the survey from the previous principal, along with some of the action steps. And some of these things, like the other principals we're talking about, were already in effect district-wide. They were initiatives that had started. So the first one is the big one that we're currently working on, and we're making great strides towards making it a great environment. The multi-purpose room at Landing is a terrible space, or was a terrible space. I remember going to professional development there 15, 20 years ago and saying, wow, this is green. I'm in a green room, there's no light. And because of the energy savings program that the district enlisted, we now have great light. We have sound panels on the walls. We're getting a new floor this summer. We've been chipping away at the room. It's a world of difference in that room at this point. You can see. The kids, I remember the lights were done over a break, and they came in on the Monday after the break, and they all just kind of stood there like Martians were landing. They were just looking up at the lights. It was a wonderful day. So we continue to work. I have an incredibly supportive FCA, and the FCA at the school said that they are willing to invest as much as it takes to continue working on that room. And the big problem with the room now is the sound. So it's cavernous, and there's a lot of echo, and one person in that room sounds like a crowd. The sound just bounces around. So we have estimates from a couple companies on different sound treatments. And not only are they treatments, but they're decorative. So I'm working with Joe Traus to see what we can do. For the materials, the SCA has it all covered. Installation is actually a little bit more than the materials. And we're working on figuring out what the district can do to offset some of those costs and what we have to bring in the company to actually install those. And again, finally, the floor of that room is old tile. It was a gym at one point. That's the multi-purpose, and that floor is scheduled to be replaced this summer. So that's a big area. More consistent administrative actions. What I did, the first thing I did when I came into Lanning was I called Jeff at Forest, and I asked for his handbook that he gives out to parents and students, makes available on the website, and I adopted it. I added things that were specific to Lanning and our situations and our traffic patterns, and continued to work on that, and now we have a handbook that really guides a lot of what I do and what the expectation on students and lunch aides and even parents are. And every year, right after back to school night, when I announce that everybody needs to go take a look at the handbook, I take a look on the website and I see how many hits, and it goes through the roof. So it's effective. You can actually see who's looking at this. And it does guide much of what I do, how I treat the lunchroom, how I treat the hallways, how I treat recess, and I'll get to that a little bit more when we get to, well, we're there now. Student behavior at lunch and recess. Along with the parent-student handbook, I developed a set of expectations for lunch aides and students. And I go over that with the lunch aides. In the beginning of the year, we sit and we talk about all the expectations. Again, if this did exist before me, I didn't see it. And it's effective. Everybody, whether you're in first grade lunch, second grade lunch, third grade lunch, everybody plays by the same rules. We have what we call, when I address the kids, we call them non-negotiables. And I use that word all the time, and the first time I used it, I got blank stares, and now they know what I'm talking about. About being in your seat at all times, making sure that you don't just get up to throw away your trash, that you do it the right way, you wait until somebody comes over and says, go ahead. Dismissing to recess is always a lineup. We have bathroom passes now, and again, I don't know if they were there prior to me, but I didn't see them. So, there's a system where they have to take the pass, they have to put it where they sit, so we know exactly who's out at what times. And again, it's a work in progress. We continue to tweak it. I asked the teachers for their input, and next year we're going to have a different system for dropping off and picking up from the lunchroom, because we feel like the hallways in between lunch and recess and the afternoon classes are an area of some growth. Staff access to more technology and materials. This was a big one with me. I love technology. We recently got a board just like this. It's actually a little bit bigger, a little brighter. But it's one, taking it and run with it. We replaced 5 projectors. They were just, projectors that were slide projectors, and they would show an image. We replaced them with interactive projectors where the kids have some touch. They project on any surface. Some of them are actually touch. You don't need a pen. There's like a little laser matrix that goes over the board, and they can access it on the tools on any board. We put Google Chromecast in all the classrooms. I got Google Chromebooks for everybody on the staff who wanted them. We have iPads. A lot of the teachers at the school have bought into, obviously, Google Classroom is huge at the school. Aside from that, a lot of our teachers have started using something called Class Dojo, where they find that the iPad is an easier way to communicate and to take notes in real time. Class Dojo is a classroom management. They can send notes to parents right on the spot. They can give them checks and minuses, specific messages, tell them, I'd like your son or daughter to come in early tomorrow or stay a little bit late after school, and it's all right there in the moment. So many of the teachers, I think we have 6 teachers who are using Classroom Dojo, and it's been really effective. You've been hearing about our enrichment. The Landon community is extremely excited about the Flex Academies or whatever enrichment program we decide to go with. We met today. We were all really impressed with what the company had to offer, and there's a healthy mix of them providing and us guiding that. So they deal with a lot of logistics. We dictate a lot of the direction that it goes in, and we can also have somebody in place. That's just this company. So, and we're not moving forward with it, but as far as I had one of my parents there, she walked out of there really excited, and if everything works out, if we can make all the logistics work out, we're definitely going to bring that in. Extra help is something that teachers all have their own systems. I sent the survey around. I said, how do you offer extra help? How do you request students come in for extra help? And everybody had something different. Again, this was mostly a 3rd and 4th grade issue. The 4th grade teachers, since that point, have worked out something on Wednesdays that they call Work It Out Wednesdays. One calls that, the other one doesn't really have a name for it, but it's the same program, where it's the day that instrumental music is planning, and they're pulling the 4th graders at all different times, and it's really become a day for individual attention. So students, the 4th grade teachers will often have the Chromebooks on those days, and kids will work on their own projects, and teachers will spend time with students based on where their needs are. It's great, and that's done a lot in terms of making sure that the students are getting the attention that they need in those areas where there's need for remediation. 3rd grade has used this Classroom Dojo, which I was just talking about, and again, in that moment, teachers got an iPad mini in their hands. Some of them use their phones, and they can just say, oh, this student is having a difficult time with this. I'm going to send a message home. Come at 8:10 tomorrow morning. And that's gone a long way in identifying the problems in that moment and communicating with the parents. I asked that next year, all of their presentations have their extra help policies and how they communicate that. And again, each teacher does have their own method for it, but we are working towards formalizing it. And the Chromebooks, the iPads, both of those have gone a long way in making that definitely an easier process. And time for staff collaboration, you've heard it from everybody. We have these grade level meetings where the philosophy, we all agree, is we don't want to waste anybody's time. It's easy to have a meeting and read a laundry list of what's coming up in calendars, but these are people that can read that same list. And when there's been something to really dive into and work through as a team, we meet. If not, we give them the opportunity to work together. And it's paid off. I asked my teachers, I have a little survey I sent around to everybody about everything we do throughout the year, called the Year in Review. And they all feel like the amount of time and the ability to work with each other is great. Again, you heard from Mr. Monticelli that we're moving to this model of PLC, and we've been introducing it to the teachers, and they're excited about it. Again, it allows the teachers to really focus in on what's important to them, the areas of growth, and take some action steps that are really specific to their own classrooms and work through them as a team. I have the same philosophy of faculty meetings as you heard previous principals, where it's not, I'm going to tell you what's going on, I'm going to read the calendar. We're going to do something often at those meetings. We do a lot of breakout sessions. I try to in each meeting have something that's professional development, where they're going to get together, they're going to discuss something that really has some effect on their students, whether it's, I did a whole meeting on communication, where they graded their own communication skills, and they came up with phrases that they should use, and a list of phrases that are probably not advised to use with parents and students. It's just an example of what we do with faculty meetings. And like Dr. Lanzo said, 3rd and 4th grade both have common plan times built into their schedules because of the course. But when I build the schedule over the summer, I start with some common plan times. I'll block them in, and then I'll keep whatever I can, and often we have a few a week. Sometimes we don't, but the standing offer is anytime you want to work with somebody or observe somebody's class, let me know, and we'll figure out a way for you to do that. And it's definitely, I feel like the staff is very collaborative staff. I don't feel like they're guarded over their lessons, and they really share, and they're excited to work with each other. About it. This time.
Hello, Yvette McNeil from HCW, Olmsted House, and Mr. Galbercheck is over here. He'll be joining in a second. We actually have had over 700 students at the time. It was about 2 years ago. We still do. But we had great survey results from the students. We had about 693 results, and that's also due, of course, to a captive audience because we could get the survey in school. We had about 36 teachers who responded, and we would have liked that to have been higher. And we had 93 parents, and I think to myself, we probably would have loved about 1,000 responses because we probably had about 1,000 or more parents. So we had about 93 responses, and we had great, positive responses, but we also had 2 really big areas of concern and recommended growth. And one of those areas was, the parents really saw a need for more consistent and better communication between teachers and them, and also with general issues in the school and them. So the best thing that happened is this survey happened on the eve of the House Month. So because of that, a lot of things were in place in terms of communication with parents. And our teaching teams now meet twice a week. We have frequent parent-teacher meetings. Thank goodness we had construction a few years ago, so we have 2 conference rooms, so we have plenty of room to have parent meetings. There's common planning time for teachers, and we did have that at the 5th and 6th grade level, but we did not have that at the 7th and 8th grade level, so we were able to offer that. And then the good thing that happened was we also had, now we have weekly correspondence with parents. So every week an email from the team goes home to parents, and it highlights exactly what's going on with each class, upcoming events, and also things that in the past happened and that deserve recognition. We also use School Messenger, which is we send out little messages from the SCA. We'll send out message reminders about events. The nurse has kind of tapped into the main office's ability to use this, and she can you get this out to the parents, and it's really been helpful with getting just alerting parents just about the fact that their 5th grade students going into 6th grade need to make sure they get get certain vaccinations for 6th grade. Our second area of concern was, although 82% of students felt safe, there were about 18% of students who felt that students were often bullied, and even a greater number who felt that students were often teased. So that's an issue. It's a huge concern. And some of the action things that we've done. One, the house model is helpful, definitely helpful, because we're meeting weekly to discuss a team of students, a group of students who the teachers share. So we are able to identify some issues that happened before they happened. So we can, teachers are noticing things about students because they share them, and they often didn't share them before. We use something called Hipster, which is an online program that came to us about 2 years ago, and it's been wonderful. Because before that, we did not have a system, a really good system for tracking HIV. And this system basically tracks it. It will tell you if you have repeat offenders. It will take you through the process of determining HIV, so we become more consistent with that. And it also is a way to store our documents, so we can go back and look and re-examine things. So it's been very helpful. And one of the things that we did was we looked at some of those trends that occurred last year and the year before, and we noticed that there was an increase in HIV incidents that included race, that included religion, and also that included gender. So some of the things that we did was we set aside some of our faculty meetings as professional development. So we brought in, the first thing we did was we presented this information to our teachers, and we said, these are some of the things that we're noticing. These are the trends. What are you seeing? So we had conversations around that. Based on those conversations, we kind of took back that, our teachers are the first line of seeing some of these issues. So we brought in somebody who, we brought in a gentleman from Cedar Grove, and he did an LGBTQ presentation for our teachers, and many of our teachers were unaware of the issues and the educational rights and responsibilities that we have as teachers. So we brought somebody in, and then in another faculty meeting, we brought in a facilitator to have teachers examine their own experiences. So, their backgrounds, their education levels, where they came from. Are they from this area? Are they not from this area? Experiences in life that gave them maybe a perspective on life that might be different from their students. And it was kind of just making teachers aware of your experiences may not be the same as some of our other students. And it was a way for teachers to start thinking about the way that they teach and coming to it maybe with less bias. And the next thing that we started to do was we are talking, I met with Dr. Bangia and a representative from a company that does, what is it called? Oh, Facing History. It's a tolerance-based curriculum, and what they do is they infuse different things into the curriculum, and it really has to do with tolerance, diversity, but also empathy. And it ties into our curriculum. So that will be something that we are going to be exploring something further next year. One of the other things that we started doing was the addition of an education reflection piece for students who are involved in HIV incidents. And it's been very interesting seeing the results of some of them. One of the interesting things is we were able to also include in a reflection piece, with the permission of the parents, we were able to bring some of the Heroes and Cool Kids down to speak with some of our students about leadership, and because some students want to be heroes and cool kids, and they kind of spoke with them about these are the kind of characteristics that you need to have to be a hero and cool kid. So it was a nice reflection piece that we were able to do, and hopefully we can. The timing was just right; it worked out really well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Galachek.
Thank you. Dave Galachek, principal of the Carnegie House at HB Whitehorn. I'm going to skip over one slide for a moment. So I joined HBW 2 years ago. It was the school year shortly following the administration of the survey, but when the results came in and Ms. McNeil and I had time to pour over the results, She touched on it briefly with where we're going with the 5th and 6th grade social studies curriculum, but we felt one of the best ways to reach our student audience in a profound way is within our curriculum in terms of incorporating our core values of respect and integrity and responsibility. So, you know, our teachers are among our best assets. So, we have in 5th and 6th grade, our guidance counselors teach a 30-day cycle of advisory where basically they teach kids how to be middle schoolers. So things from the everyday things, but also anti-bullying and what to do when a conflict may arise and who to go to. But in 7th and 8th grade, at the moment, we don't have a true path to support those core values in a meaningful and a truly meaningful way. So one area that is within the ELA, the English Language Arts curriculum, and some of this had been in place prior to the implementation of a survey, but when the results came in, we took, and with the help of Dr. Bangia and Mr. Miller and our teachers at the 7th and 8th grade level, really said, how can we make kids connect more meaningfully to the curriculum so that it's not just reading Macbeth or Othello, but why? What's the more profound meaning and purpose in doing this? So for this coming summer, our incoming 7th graders, their reading is going to be focused on, and there's going to be a wide, they have a ton of options from which to choose, but the common themes are going to have to do with overcoming obstacles, finding courage and strength in trying times. How do we keep at our goals despite setbacks? And the enduring understanding that people are more alike than they are different. So that, as we go into next year, you know, this is the revised summer assignment that we're going to be a summer reading for this coming summer. So that's the segue into the 7th grade curriculum. And so some of the units, and by units, when you look at the first one there, a 10-week unit, that's a marking period. That's a quarter of the school year, resolving conflict. For those that are not in the educational speak world, the transfer goal, what do we want? You know, none of us remember everything that was taught to us in school, but what are down the line, what are those goals that you really hope as a teacher, as an educator, as a principal, that, man, those students should come away with that. And so what's the transfer goal? What do we want students, long after they've left H.B. Whitehorn and Verona High School, to come away with? You know, how do these characters in literature to understand human nature a little better? How do they deal with conflict? How that conflict and how one faces it reveals true character. So those are some heavy things to grapple with. Another 8 or so weeks, again, nearly a quarter of the school year, the role of social class in society. The literature can vary depending on the unit and year to year. We don't see it again as studying Macbeth, but it's, you know, the literature can change, sure, nonfiction, fiction, poetry, but the transfer goals, and this particular unit happens to, they're using The Outsiders right now, but what's it like to be an outsider? You know, maybe in Verona, you know, many maybe have been outsiders, or maybe, you know, that 18% that responded the way they did to our survey have felt like outsiders. And so, you know, that the goal of this unit is to identify how other people feel, to recognize how one might feel like an outsider, especially as it relates to class, and understand those people differently as they go through life long after they leave our hallways. I think the name of the following unit there, the need for tolerance, speaks for itself. But again, how complex human nature is, recognize that the need for tolerance and compassion for those who are different. So, and then one more unit in set values is the need for self-reflection. You know, every one of us throughout our lives can constantly benefit from self-reflection. And so this is where we try to connect poetry to many students. It may not always be the most appealing piece of ELA standards to tackle, but our teachers do a fine job in presenting it and trying to make students understand that this is a means of expression and communication. So that's just that's really a big overview of what we are doing in the 7th grade curriculum. If you look at the bottom of that slide, going now 7th graders going into 8th grade, their reading as they go into 8th grade will again focus on creating a more peaceful and tolerant society. And we're trying to in 7th grade lay that foundation of kind of developing what human nature is and quote unquote what's the right thing to do. And for so many adults, children, people, standing up when something, when intolerance, when an act of intolerance is taking place is the tough thing. It's hard, it's easy to recognize, it's not always to stand up or to support those who are hurting or who are not being accepted within a group or within a school or in a society. And so that's the summer assignment. Summer reading is the pathway to 10-week of full marking period unit on being an upstander, to look at the world, to see that there's injustice in the world, and to recognize that there should, we shouldn't stand back. Someone should stand up in support of those who are suffering. And another nearly marking period long unit, the conflict experiences that shape our lives, and this blends ELA standards and social studies standards, but again, understanding, now that there's hopefully a stronger baseline of understanding of issues in conflict resolution and applying historical context so that to help students better understand the long run, to be aware of the world around them and to use that when they see things in their own lives where they could potentially make a difference. So those are some things, again, within the curriculum we think we can do on an everyday basis, and we certainly are doing that in our English classrooms. There are also a lot of other areas at HB where we look at that 18% figure that Ms. McNeil presented and say, what else can we do? The yearly assemblies, sort of that whole school annual assembly, it has its purpose, and we certainly have a few. It's certainly not, we don't sit back and say we had a couple of assemblies, that's great. But we've had some powerful assemblies over the past several years. We had, probably the best one we had was this October, a cyberbullying assembly that we had at HB. They had the assembly, one for our 5th and 6th grade audience, later in the afternoon, the 7th and 8th grade audience. Then later that evening, Verona High School was kind enough to host a parent group for all parents in the community to attend a pretty powerful cyberbullying assembly from by Sergeant Rich, who's a nationally known speaker in this area. Every year at HBW, at a minimum, we have meetings at the beginning of the year, and then throughout the year too, with specific grades and groups of students regarding expectations of discipline, HIB. We remind them of the definition of HIB, what the process is for those who may be potentially in violation of that, of the policy. We have meetings on code of conduct and other areas in which we can support a positive school environment. Now, throughout the year, you'll hear one of the counselors get on the loudspeaker in the morning pretty frequently and recognize the star of the day. And that can be, and there's a bulletin board outside the main office where students' name and what their act of kindness or respect was. And it's always neat. It could be, someone that held the door open for someone that they weren't even looking to do it to get the star of the day. They just did something that was kind and was noticed. And we think, and this is something that has been in place for a while at HB, but it's something that by rewarding these seemingly small acts of kindness and respect to go a long way. A couple other areas where we've continued to focus on in enhancing our school climate and culture. We continue to welcome from Verona High School to Heroes of Cool Kids. They work with our 5th graders. This is the second year that we used those students and kind of expanded their role. We said, you guys are too good for us to just work with our 5th graders a few times a year. So they served as assistant chaperones on our 5th grade environmental and team building trip. So I think that was a win for those students to serve as, and they were fantastic, to serve as leaders. And it's a long day, and it was really cold this year. And I think, like Ms. Neal said earlier, you see, or someone said earlier, that you see some of these older high school kids lead. That's often better than one of us or a teacher, because it's a powerful thing when a kid sees an older kid who might be a great athlete or in the theater or in the play or in the band, and they look up to that, and so it's a win-win for us. So keep them coming to Chicago. Your capstone program too, I can't believe the school has over 100 seniors participating in the program. We have at least a half dozen of your seniors who are working with our teachers, and part of their expectation is it's not just about teaching social studies or helping with the media specialists, but part of the job is being a role model, and so that's part of the lesson that they're getting on the job here at HB. Other entities that support a positive school climate that Ms. McNeil and I are working closely with in ensuring that we're doing all we can. School safety team, that's something that exists by law, but it's something that we that make recommendations to about school safety and trends in HIV issues. Our student council continues to be working with the community and is raising awareness for issues in our community and issues that might relate to the student body. The Dream Team, I can't say enough about Mrs. Marsano and Ms. Halbert, who I don't think they sleep. They do so much to help students, and they really make it a student-led initiatives where they're either where they're raising awareness, they're raising money to give to a cause. They are, you see Blue Shirt Day, Red Ribbon Week. These are symbolic gestures that are in place to support. Blue Shirt Day was to support anti-bullying measures. That was in October. Every students participating signed an anti-bullying pledge. Red Ribbon Week, that was in support of Violence and Vandalism Awareness Week. And as we go into 2017 and 2018, there's a lot that we're doing, but we're also looking to kind of take pause, reflect, and then move forward, because we'd like to see an expansion of our advisory program. Like I said at the outset, we have advisory programs at 5th and 6th grades, and the 30-day cycle. We'd like to potentially see something that's for the entire school, and that is something that exists throughout the school year. So that's on our plate. The Best Club. The Best Club is a club that's funded through VMAC, so the funding is through the state, and it's a club that for the past few years has worked with primarily mostly in the 5th and 6th grade girls are participants, and it's sort of it's a club that's working on building self-esteem among young girls. And unfortunately, the state's no longer funding this. They said that the target audience is too small. But we are looking to morph this potentially in order to sort of retain the funding. We're looking to morph the Best Club into a peer leadership type of entity. And we started that process already where members of the Best Club are working as sort of pseudo peer leaders. They're going to be, for example, working on coordinating an effort to write letters to the current 4th graders, the incoming 5th graders for early September. We think that's a great initiative that they're taking on, and it's something that feeds right into our initiative in welcoming, opening our doors and being a welcoming place to all students. And then finally, I talked about 7th and 8th grade ELA curriculum, but we'll continue to look at the social studies curriculum and ELA as well, and see where can we continue to infuse our focus on core values so that we can change that number from 18% to a number that's a little lower than that. So I think that's it for me.
Thank you. I'm Scott Schuyler, principal of Verona High School. Thank you to elementary principals, the middle school principals, and all the teachers. We get a great product up here in our kids, so really that's why our school is doing as well as it's doing. It's because of the work of the elementaries and middle school. So thank you. We've had a few things through our climate survey to work on. I'm going to echo, I think it was Mr. Foyne that said we had a lot of positive things. These are things we need to work on. Facility upgrades, cleanliness, homework, technology upgrades, enforcement of attendance, guidance and special education, student time management, professional growth opportunities, and administration awareness in the classrooms. So, thanks to the Board of Education and the Facilities Department and the people of Verona, we've had a lot of upgrades to the VHS facilities over the last few years. Some of them you could see just driving up Sampson with the new fields, the new tennis courts, an applied technology room right over here. And what I have in the next slide is a bunch of pictures, because I'm more of a picture fella, so I'm going to show you some of the upgrades that we've done and not just read the slide to you. New painted classrooms, new painted guidance office with some furniture donated by the SDA, which we're putting together this week, which is great. And they're actually also going to be beautifying the lobby. They've already purchased stuff for the lobby, so you'll see that upgraded soon as well. A new lighting throughout. As you can tell, it's much brighter here than it used to be. New office space built right up across the hall over there for a counselor. The students eat in the courtyard during the fall and springtime. We also have tables donated by the SCA, so you'll find students outside eating in the sunshine, which is always nice to see. The expanded parking lot, which has eased some of the parking concerns. A new music room for our outstanding band and choir program. Renovated bleachers in the large gym, newly finished gym floor in the little gym, and more air conditioning throughout the building. And trust me, the teachers and students are very grateful for that. Hopefully I did a good enough job in putting pictures in here, folks, so let's see how I did today. So this slide here shows, what I had was our head custodian took a lot of our plaques and organized them in a more central location so that when our student athletes and athletes from other districts come to our school, they can see some of our accolades. This just looks like a picture of our front door, but believe it or not, all of our front doors were replaced. It seems like a nothing thing, but anybody that owns a home know how big of a deal it is to replace doors. So they're beautiful doors, they work well, and I love my doors. So a new water fountain. This was actually a fundraiser by the Marine Biology Club. So what they did was they're the one that raised the money, and they put in a bottle. You fill a bottle underneath there. I think there's a point on this right there. Oh no. That's it. I apologize. I thought I used the laser pointer there, but I didn't. Okay. My doors. The water fountain. You'd be surprised how many students and staff use that on a daily basis. Sometimes there's a line for this water fountain. It's a very popular water fountain.
Just that one though?
One. Yeah, we have other new water fountains throughout the building. That's the fancy one that everybody likes to go to because of the bottle aspect, but we do have other new water fountains throughout the building. We have a teacher whose duty, believe it or not, is just beautification of bulletin boards. One of the things that I believe in is when you walk in, and then what I admire in the elementary schools is how pretty it is. It's so colorful and makes you want to be there. And I want the high school to feel that way too. And so we have a great teacher, Ms. Erica, that does a wonderful job. She's very creative. Some of these are hers, some of those she's collaborating on. I only have, I think, one in here right now, or two. So they're beautiful, and she changes them out by the season, which I think that although they're bigger kids, I think sometimes they like this too. So we try to do that throughout the building. And I know that's not a big budget initiative, but it was still pretty neat. When I got here, we had trophy cases. Most of them have light bulb capability, so we bought some. And we put them in, and we painted them. And so we did a great job with beautifying the trophy cases and displaying some of our trophies in a more meaningful way. Here's a picture of what we tried to do is go around the classrooms. We did a study, and we found that kids like colors. Big surprise. And they got tired of with what's called, I think, an off-white or a China white, I think it's called, in every single classroom. So what we're trying to do is try to infuse color through accent walls and try to make it feel a little bit more like an elementary school again, copying it. Okay, guys? So here's a classroom where it's an orange wall. And they found that the pastel colors are not as overwhelming. And here's a blue wall. This is Mr. White's room. Mr. White has blue. This is a different color blue, believe it or not. This is more of a teal. This is Ms. Della Fortuna's room.
Did you pick the color for each of the students or the teachers?
So the teachers, the art teachers and some of the other teachers got together and did color research. Now, originally the idea was primary colors, and I was schooled on the idea, on the fact that people don't like that because it's so overwhelming, like a bright red or like a real bright blue. So that's where the pastels come from. Now, some of the teachers, and I'll give you the example from the back here. Not everybody likes that color. Now, it's only one color, one room in that color right now. So other teachers are picking some different colors. So you'll find even more colors throughout, even than what we already picked out. Science was originally slated to have almost like a muted pastel green, but I don't think that they want that. So I think they're picking a different color as well, and I'm very flexible with it. The idea isn't to force colors of walls down people's throats. The idea is to make people feel comfortable and get a change throughout their day. They're not walking into the same thing every single period. But Mr. White's room technically was supposed to be purple. He didn't like purple. And now that the teachers pick which wall they want to paint, and the other three walls are the same color as the soffit, super white, which really brightened it up as well.
And is our custodial staff?
Yes, yes, they're doing a great job. A lot of times what they were doing is they would start early in the morning around 7 o'clock and they'd go right up to lunch. Then they would do lunch services and then they would do other custodial duties throughout the day. So the morning part of the day they were paying and did a great job. Everybody loves this color. If you've been in the guidance counseling office, everybody loves it. I have to give credit to Mrs. Filato. She picked it out. I didn't like it at first, but she said, you got to trust me, and here it is, and it looks great. And we got a nice sign up there as well, which is wonderful. And you'll see in the lobby that there's going to be a Welcome to Verona High School sign that's very similar in font and size to this one that we're putting in with the maroon backdrop. That's the main office sign, beautification. Right above your head. This countertop was actually built by Mr. Atkins' class and students, so we're going to put a little plaque up there for them soon. You know, the surprising thing is, you know, when I went to Mr. Atkins and I asked him to build this, I was like, yeah, just, you know, put a shelf in, and typical not having any clue what it takes to build anything. He's like, yeah, it's much more complicated than just put a shelf in. Turns out the floor is not level, and so the kids, it actually turned into quite the engineering feat. I didn't think it would. I joked with him that sometimes it felt like the Big Dig, but he did an outstanding job with the students. I mean, it's one of the most used pieces of furniture in this learning commons. Students love sitting there with their laptops open to the Chromebooks, as well as everything here in this learning commons is new. I didn't take a picture of every piece of furniture in here. I'm going to bore you, so we have new furniture as well. And new books throughout. And there's a picture of the courtyard where students will go outside and eat. New heating. This is the best I can do to give you a picture of heating. Mrs. Nardino, do we have a better picture of heating than this?
No, that
that is the best one.
Okay.
Because there's some, I think, that are not complete yet, but the contractor has to come back.
We put 2 new computer labs in the high school over the last school year. That's 50 computers. This is Mr. Atkinson's class. You see this is a 3D printer that he's using. And in the next slide, hopefully it's the next slide. Yes, here's the laser cutter. Today we just got the laser cutter up and running and vented properly and whatnot. He told me today they cut through a piece of wood about that thick within, I think he said it was less than 10 seconds into a square. It's absolutely amazing. So students will be using the laser cutter to actually incorporate CAD designs into the manufacturing process. So that'll be pretty neat. I consider that a facilities upgrade. That's good. We have all new equipment down in the Applied Technology room. I just took a picture of one or 2 pieces. This is a laser guided drill press. And the ventilation is all redone. And there'll be another picture later of that. I'll show you that as well. The music room, which can't get more use if you wanted to. It's a wonderful space. We finished basketball floor. Another computer lab, another 25 computers, desktop computers. And the reason the desktops are warranted in these 2 rooms is there are applications that don't work on Chromebooks that we do need. We still need desktops for. That's a panel saw. Large pieces of wood makes it safe to cut. This is a new addition as well. New base, the field's down below, field's up above. I know we've had this before, but I just want to say that they're doing some pretty nice landscaping and trimming lately. I just want to put that out. Here's another example of a really well-done trophy case. Working with Mr. Merkler and QR custodian, we found all of the sectional trophies, so we wanted to display that for when our athletes are entering the building and when other schools come to visit us. I think it gives a little bit of a presence to what we've accomplished. This doesn't look like an exciting picture, but I need to explain how exciting this picture is. So when I first got to Vernon High School, I thought the floors were brown. Okay, and it turns out they're not, they're gray. And what happened was over years and years of, every year they throw another layer of wax down to another layer of wax down. And our head custodian and our director of facility said, they're not actually brown floors, those are layers of wax. And so last summer, our custodial team stripped all the floors. And when I tell you it's a different color, it's amazing. I wish I had another picture next to it so you could see what it used to look like, but I'm sure maybe you probably remember. So I had to take a picture of how much nicer that looked. I do think that's a huge facilities upgrade. It's one that goes very unnoticed because it's one of those things, if you don't remember, you forget. That's the lighting. I took a picture of the lighting. This one's interesting. This is a before and after. So on the left side of the picture, that's what we painted all the hallways and with the super white. On the left side, next to the mural, is what the hallway colors used to look like. So I wanted to point out how much brighter that we're actually trying to make the school. Tim, one of our maintenance people, he built this bathroom last summer in the boys' room. He did a fabulous job, so that was an amazing facilities upgrade for our boys' bathroom. We hope that it continues to other bathrooms. My understanding is it will. Our SCA has done a great job of beautification inside and outside of the building. They have seasonal flowers. Outside of the music room, a wonderful addition. And our security entrance. All schools have that, I know, but one of our things was about facility upgrades, and so we do have a security entrance, and that's where parents drop off lunches and other things, and twice a day we bring it into the building. And new bleachers. Okay, so the cleanliness. So to highlight a few things, floor was stripped over a decade of wax. Rooms are being decluttered. This summer, myself and Mr. Lancaster and the custodial team, we have a lot more students coming up from HBW, so we had to actually create space. And we decluttered a lot of rooms when we were cleaning them out. So you find that there's more space in each classroom. The rooms are being dusted more regularly. My first year here, on a weekly basis, I would get a report of a pest, a mouse, a cockroach. Those reports have almost dropped off to almost nothing at this point. And I have to give credit to our custodial team. They came up with a few key ideas about why we were getting the pests. And it's really about how we were taking care of the garbage and, you know, how often recycling was removed from the building and things like that. So now because of it, we're not really attracting them anymore. So that's really, you know, I went to them and I was saying, well, how do we fix this problem? And so it's simple. You got to take this stuff outside. Let's do that. And really, I haven't heard many complaints about cockroaches and mice this year, so it's nice to see that. And my head custodian is giving me a cleaning schedule, and he's telling me about maintenance and everything we need on a regular basis. Okay, attendance was one of the other areas that needed to be improved. Teachers felt that students needed to arrive on time. We decreased students with 10 or more late to schools by 471%. We did, you know, coming in new, it's not hard to set new expectations, and I think that's what we did. And the students, being the great kids that they are, just rose to those expectations. I wish I could take a lot of credit for it, but really the kids will rise to the expectations you set for them, and they did. I don't really want to spend too much time on this. They come to school on time, and we love that. The other thing we did, if anything, we changed the starting school day from 7:55 to 8. I know it's 5 minutes in adult world, but in the student world, it could be 3 years. So 8 o'clock is a big deal. And the choir next year is tentatively being scheduled for the school day, which helps the students who are struggling to get here at 7:10, you know, to get to school at 8 o'clock, which is a little bit better for them. Okay. Too much homework. So this was a concern, and it still is a concern. One of the things that we've done is we formed a committee. This committee is largely made up of AP teachers because it's largely where we hear the number one complaint come from. In addition to talking about homework, we're talking about summer work, we're talking about scheduling, we're talking about how do we better inform students about what they're registering for, how do we better inform parents and students about the amount of homework we're assigning each night. So we even had a meeting after school today that went about an hour and a half with half of the AP teachers where we were reviewing schedules and trying to really have better conversations with parents and students as to what their next year's schedule is going to look like. And we had all the counselors showed up. It was very productive. And tomorrow we have another meeting with the other half of AP teachers as well. So what we're doing is we're talking, like I said, about scheduling homework, summer assignments, even about when we post assignments in Google Classroom, and so on and so forth. A lot's really coming out of this committee, and you're gonna see over the next couple of weeks the amount of information that's going to be able to be disseminated to students and parents. Okay, technology upgrades. I wasn't here when there was no Wi-Fi, but my understanding was at one point that happened. And but I have to say, when the first year I was here, the Wi-Fi was pretty good. And then Eltion did something; it just got better. And there isn't dead spots like there used to be. So, you know, I think that within my first year here, we had a technology upgrade, and then it got even better. You'd have to have Eltion up here to explain what he did to make it better, but he made it better. We have bring your own device. You'll see students all over the building with their own laptops, their own computers. Like I said, we have 2 new PC labs. In addition to that, we bought 25 new teacher desktop computers. We were finding that teachers were having a difficult time doing things like, let's say you wanted to show a YouTube clip on how to solve a physics problem. Believe it or not, we didn't have enough memory to actually run some of these things. So this year we've also bought 25 new teacher computers and took out the old one. And some of the older ones we've recycled to other places throughout this building in the district. In addition to that, even like my head custodian got a computer, so we're able to communicate more effectively on cleanliness. We have 11 Chromebook carts. I'll always want more. I'm that kind of guy. I love those Chromebook cards. But they're used every period and they're outstanding and have no complaints about all of that. We added new Apple computers over up by the main office where students engage in things like GarageBand and other programs that require Apple-based product. And some of those computers came from Beefy, so we're grateful for that. Another tech, I think the front door security system where we scan people coming in and out of the building for security, that is a technology upgrade, and we're happy to say that everybody that comes into our building is scanned, and I do think it does create a safe environment for everybody. And we've added a lot of software over the last 2 years. It's a huge portion of my high school budget now. JSTOR is an online database. It's like a college-level database, as is Gale. And not only do we have Gale, but we bought the entire Gale suite, so you could do research throughout the subject areas. LibGuides, which is something that our head librarian uses for really supporting teachers and creating customized platforms for their students. Follett, which is the way the books here get organized and cataloged. Google Apps for Education. Every one of our teachers uses Google Apps for Education in this building. The ASOP program has been wonderful for absences and subs. Khan Academy was one of the first things when I first met Mr. Wirtz, I asked him if he could make that his duty. And not only did he make it his duty, we ended up becoming such a super user in Khan Academy. Khan Academy called us and said, we are one of the largest users of Khan Academy in the entire country, and they'd like to know if they could seek us out for feedback. So Mr. Wirtz and his students are providing feedback to Khan on how to make their platform in calculus better. So that's something to be proud of. Hipster was something we bought in order to track all of our HIV cases and look for trends therein, and also to bring on some regularity to what we do. That's great. We had Naviance when we got here, but I do think we're maximizing the usage every year through student surveys, through metrics. I sit through counseling meetings, and the amount of time that counselors spend on Naviance and all the different features, it's a good amount, and it's getting better every single year. We're maximizing the use of Genesis. I know we had that before I showed up as well, but we put everything in Genesis. We put all the conduct, all of the attendance. We have amazing data that we're able to track now using it, which is great. And the other thing that we're paying for is a National Clearinghouse, which is it's data that what kids do after they graduate from Verona. We're able to actually track that. So we're able to look back and say, okay, all the students that graduated last year and the year after, what are they doing now? Are they still in college? Are they still in the same college? So we pay for that, and we analyze that data in some time. Okay. Guidance and special services. The guidance department, starting last year, had yearly family and student counseling meetings. They're approximately about an hour each. If you have a student, you know what I'm talking about. They're great meetings because they start in 8th grade and go all the way through the senior year. And every year it's about what do you want to achieve and why do you want to achieve it. And we really believe in the parent and student relationship, that we're trying to form relationships with families. So those meetings are critical for us, and I also believe that those yearly meetings make that junior meeting even more meaningful, because by the time you get to junior year, you form that relationship and you have a lot of data on the students. We also give each student a Angela Duckworth grit assessment, and then use that to sort of have a conversation with the students and the parents on different non-cognitive skills. This year, the counseling staff started using Sign Up Genius for scheduling parent-student conferences, which is great because I think before it was a little bit difficult, and now parents are filling in their time slots, which makes it more convenient for the parents, who, especially working parents, who have a hard time coming to the school. And we've heard a lot of positive feedback about using Sign Up Genius as a way to schedule counseling meetings. We use Remind 101. Our counselors are sending out text messages like, oh, don't forget today to register for the SAT, or, hey, by the way, your meeting's today at 2 o'clock, don't forget. So we're using that app in order to push out information. We had a college assembly here where it's the admittance game, and it was overviewing the learning times. That was funded by the SCA, We also have some social emotional conferences that Mrs. Lustig put on here in the Learning Commons. Our counselors use the AP Potential spreadsheet and Decile spreadsheet in the counseling meetings, where we share with parents and students what their AP potential is and what students similar to them have done on both in their grades and also on AP exams. And the reason we share this information is so that the parents and students can use it in the scheduling decision-making process. Next year, we are going to add a third counselor in student mix. So we've already posted for that, and we're starting interviewing on that very, very soon. And we added a counselor from a social emotional point of view up at the high school this year as well. And that's where that office was built for. And she is meeting with students on a regular, consistent basis. And I will say that the students she is meeting with, the results are positive, and we're seeing the students re-engage into the school, into the classroom, and stay in the building, which is really what we needed to do. She's doing a fabulous job. Student time management. We surveyed the students recently. You know, that's still something that we found that they want to learn more about. So one of the things we're going to be doing next year is a lot more lunch and learns on the topic of student time management. In addition to that, I believe what's coming out of our AP teacher meetings with building a time schedule is going to play a critical role in this as well. So I think we're attacking time management on two fronts, because some students are a little bit overscheduled, and we want to make sure that we are able to explain and guide them appropriately so that they can have a great 4 years here in high school. PD, or professional growth opportunities. Every AP teacher that we've had recently that is new, whether it be microeconomics, AP psychology, AP world, we train our AP teachers and we send them out. I signed, and Mrs. Nardino can attest to this, I can't tell you how many different PD opportunity items I signed, and probably you do as well. So there's more than I can count, where teachers are getting development outside of this building that they're applying. Before, I think it was mentioned the capstone. Mrs. Salisbury is right now going to be trained in like an option 2 capstone, best practices. So I could get up here and I could talk for the next 3 days about the number of PD opportunities teachers are in. It's amazing. And they're doing it because they want to. And that's what I really respect. We don't have to, I don't have to go beat on doors and say, come on, let's do some PD. They're coming to us, and it's plentiful and it's often. And thank you for the Board of Education and Dr. Dionisio and Mr. Miller for supporting that, because really PD is what's going to make this place a better place. I heard I forget who said it. Is it? I think it might have been Mr. Freund again. I'm not sure. But we try to do our faculty meetings where we learn something as well. We do a lot of unconferences and try to unpack things as opposed to just reading emails. So I think sometimes our faculty meetings can be considered professional growth opportunities, especially internally, where I think we have expertise on our own staff that when we can get them together and we get them to talk and train each other, that's helpful. Mrs. Lustig even did, this year, we paid for her to take mindfulness training. So she did some amazing things on, she had students over the makerspace there doing meditating, and they had aromatherapy and all this stuff. And the amazing thing is how many people showed up. So there is a demand for it, and we're just going to continue working in that direction. So I don't think this is something you can ever fully accomplish, but I think we're getting better at that. Administrative awareness in the classroom. We've done 435 walkthroughs, as when I was building the slide, and over 200 plus formal observations in this building. So we've been in a lot of classrooms, and those are the ones that we're writing up. I can attest that I walk in rooms a lot, and I don't always write it up, and I know Mr. Lancaster does that, and all of us do. We're always in classrooms, and we're very aware of what's going on. And what's great about that is not the fact that we're just there. The fact is that we're able to have conversations with our teachers and really be a school. That's what a school is supposed to be, about having conversations about instruction and learning. And so that's the best part of this. I think I'm gonna put this last slide. I don't have it, the end slide, but I thank you, and I think we all thank you, yes? Okay, so, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
I want to thank everybody too, it's very, very informative, very great information, and good stuff going on at the school.
I thought it was extremely helpful to hear from each of the principals, because although we're sitting up here and we're approving things and we're looking at things, we don't get to see that overview of all, the whole compilation of it, and I'm impressed. Great job, thank you.
Yeah, I know that this has been going on for a couple of years. It's been, we put into the five-year plan, which interestingly enough, as Preston reminded us a couple of weeks ago, the current five-year plan is in the disease, and it's not really easy to live with. And one of the most difficult and challenging things about the current plan that we have is the tenet that talks about culture and environment. And when we did the plan, for those of you that were involved at the time, it was a big deal to say, nobody would disagree that it was something to focus on. And then we said, gee, what will we do? It was like, well, gee, we ought to have, maybe we'll have a meeting for that. Right? It was like, what do you do for all that stuff? And what you guys will demonstrate tonight is this ongoing collection of, if I could summarize the last hour and a half, it comes down to inclusion of students, staff, and parents is one big theme that seems to be resounding throughout. It's a whole bunch of awareness and recognition of what is and what should be and what's wrong and what's right. And the third bit is how that mental or cultural environment and the physical environment are sort of like, if you don't get those right, then you're sort of walking into the place depressed or taking action, right? And so kudos to all of you guys for what you guys are doing. It's not easy to change culture, and it can only happen slowly and surely over the so thank you very much.
I'd just like to thank all the principals. I know there's an incredible amount of work that goes into this sort of thing. Initially, when you go into initiating a client survey, you think that actually finding or developing the survey and then administering it and figuring out how to collect the information is the hardest thing, and that's actually the easiest thing in looking at it, right? Because then it's making sense of all of it, sitting down with your staff, with your stakeholder groups, and then the problem solving that comes into it. And then when you think you're done with that, it's like, now we have to go in for the next year, 2 years, really implement that change. So kudos to you and to your action teams at your buildings, because you're navigating that change, and that's a very complex thing to do. But hats off, it really is a testament. I know a lot of the things that you talked about tonight are around the areas for growth, but there's quite a bit of accomplishments and things that the parents, the students, and the staff have praised about all of the schools in the district. And that's a testament to your leadership and your hard work at the schools. And this is really a great sign of where we've come in the past 2-3 years. And then when we reset ourselves with a new survey, moving forward, being able to then just look into the future and what will be the next goal that you'll establish there in your school. So thank you very much for coming tonight and for sharing all the wonderful things that are going on in your buildings and being a part of this tonight. So thank you.
All right. We'll go into superintendent's report.
Just a few quick updates for this evening with the superintendent report. And perhaps this may be later for the board for public discussion. I did reach out to Matt Cavallo, the township manager, regarding that joint meeting. Some of the feedback that I did give to the board, so perhaps we'll talk about it in a little while, is that the town council can have 3 members of the 5 available on June 13th for a joint meeting, which is our next Board of Ed meeting. That was initially planned for being held here in the Learning Commons, and we could certainly still do that. I just wanted to circle back around with the board to have a discussion on that momentarily. Kudos and thank you to the Verona PBA for spearheading and sponsoring the Strongman competition, which was a fundraiser to raise funds for the fitness center. Thank you to the township for opening up their garage and cleaning out their garage on Ozone in an effort to make sure that we had an available space. It was originally planned for the Verona High School parking lot, rain or shine, but we received monsoon-like weather that day, so the PBA decided to redirect it over to Ozone, and it was a great event. 250 people showed up in the pouring rain. It was about $2,500 was raised. All of that is going directly to the fitness center upgrades, and just a testament to continuing to raise funds for a really great cause to really transform that space and move that place forward.
How much is needed in total to transform that space, and where are
So-
the fundraisers?
So there are about two prices. The initial price, we actually started off with getting estimates, and it was about $100,000, and we quickly whittled that down to what the necessities would be, and it's about a $40,000 number, and we're right now at about $13,000 or $14,000. So we do have some plans this summer to begin that renovation process. We would rather get the ball rolling and start to upgrade the space and generate some enthusiasm and interest, rather than waiting until we've 2 or 3 years before we raise all $40,000. We think that we can move towards our goals incrementally. I also like to thank VFE. There's a generous contribution this evening as one of the board resolutions that we'll be accepting, a $950 donation to upgrade and actually create a Lanning Avenue sensory room similar to the sensory garden at Lanning Avenue School. So VFE is making that generous donation towards this effort. And I would also like to once again recognize the estate of Arthur Aquaviva. Mr. Aquaviva was a longtime staff member here at Verona High School, and he was a librarian here in this space. A number of months ago, the board accepted a very generous contribution from Mr. Aquaviva's estate, and this evening there's a board resolution as well accepting an additional donation from his estate in the amount of $27,000 and $27,050, closing out that estate contribution to the Verona Public School System. And a lot of that money went towards renovating this space, upgrading the technology, ordering mini books, all of the furniture that you see here. But in addition to that, it is going to be earmarked for a number of significant scholarships as senior awards that will be donated in Mr. Aquaviva's name each and every year.
Will those scholarships begin this year?
They are beginning this year. Mr. Cosmo, would you like to speak to that? There was a little bit of a committee process and criteria.
Mm-hmm. So we spoke to people that knew Mr. Aquaviva, and the common theme or thread was kindness. Everybody that knew him said he was a very kind man. So the scholarship is based around kindness, and students are they were interested in the scholarship or writing an essay talking about acts of kindness that they've engaged in or been a part of or even witnessed. And the SCA is the ones in charge of reading those different essays and scoring them and picking out from a blind, they don't know whose essay they're reading. So in fact, I met with the SCA last night. They have selected 3 winners. I don't know who they are yet. And each scholarship is $3,000. So that's $9,000 in scholarships from Mr. Aquaviva's scholarship fund going out on June 7th at the Senior Awards ceremony. So that's a significant contribution, and I think that when word gets out how much money is being awarded and how generous this donation is, that more and more students will apply for it moving forward. I think that I do. It's significant, and as a student who's going to college, $3,000 is nothing to blink at. Yeah. So.
And how, I don't know, just out of curiosity, how is that paid? Is that directly to the college of the students where they get accepted?
You know
That will actually go directly to the student.
Yeah.
Directly to the student. So it's a wonderful legacy to leave, and for many, many years to come. Even with significant amount of dollars and $9,000, the amount of money that Mr. Aquaviva left to Verona High School will really allow the funding of many scholarships for several decades. I'm just looking at my notes. I think I may have misspoken. I don't know if I said a deep fee for the donation. I'm looking at the resolution for the sensory room at Lanning Avenue School. What I meant to say is Verona Child, children having individual learning differences, Verona Child is making that donation. Mrs. Riggin is here this evening, and it's a good thing I had that pause there when Mr. Cosgill was speaking, because I was looking at my notes and I thought I misspoke. So my apologies, but thank you to Child for that very, very generous contribution. And last but not least, I'd just like to recognize two wonderful ladies there are two resolutions on this evening for accepting of their retirement. Mrs. Karen Sabatino, third grade teacher at FN Brown Elementary School, and Mrs. Carol Clifford, teacher at HBW, will be retiring. Mrs. Sabatino will be retiring effective the end of this year, and Mrs. Clifford will be retiring mid-year of the 2017-18 school year. We thank them for their many years of generous contributions to our community and for their service to our students here in Verona, and we wish them well in the next chapter of their lives. And that's it for the superintendent.
Any questions for Dr. Dionisio? Okay, we have one committee report, which was a short finance committee meeting that we had. Trustee, want to do that? You want me to do that? Good. Finance. Oh, sorry.
I can cover it. I'll be good.
While you weren't there. So we had a short finance committee. It was short in terms, we went on for about 45 minutes, but it was short in terms of its content. We talked about the current year's budget and our anticipation of when we're going to close the year. Because Dino has a little more work to do, but it is extremely tight on the year. And where we're going to close, I'm just going to summarize this one again, I'm just going to get it wrong. And it looks like the right thing to do is to close the year and then get the auditors in here as quickly as possible. A few months earlier than the normal cycle. The reason for that is it looks like that the budget is now leaving us short for that carryover of about 280K, 250K that we have year to year that goes into tax relief. It's a perpetuity, so we can carry that every year in a row. We dipped into that to do about 100K, close to, which is going to leave us short in the coming year, but with the next year budget. So we need to validate our books as fast as possible. That's the first time that has happened in the recent past years. And it's a dangerous one. Any questions on finance? We have two discussion items. The first one is the meeting in town. So is a bid to the board to say, do we want to meet with the town on 13th with whatever town council members make it, or do we defer? Because the other suggestion from the council is that we defer the meeting to the fall, and then we'll have a new council seated by then. And meet with the rest of the council.
My advice is to have it, because the goal was to try and do 2 a year, one in the spring, one in the fall, and I just feel like staying on cycle, whether they're full council or not, would be just to get the momentum going.
To me, it makes more sense to wait for the new council from the board, just do it in September. We should have tried to get something on the schedule this way, on us, and then whatever. At this point, I guess, I'm expecting to do it agree, and I'm not sure this will be on it. If it's even, but if the decision is to go forward, I think that's.
I'm not sure about the group benefits planning, like, if we could add time, and so we have the fact that the NP members and, new council members should be involved in September.
Are there any topics that we need to address or that with the council sooner rather than later? It seems that just from attendance point of view, we might just do it in the fall. That's okay, but if there is anything to discuss with them, the way we've handled it in past years, because the benefit of pencil and standard calendar. It's year over year, it's just a challenge for whatever reason it is. But what we found we can do is have smaller committee-sized meetings, 2 board members and 2 board members, with some representatives of the council, the town manager, and the EDC on the table to cover whatever topics we want to cover in advance of any full. So why don't we, if there are any topics that we feel would be a sensible agenda to put together, we can arrange that kind of meeting sooner than later, and then maybe cover topics more broadly in the fall.
I mean, we have the benefit of living in a small town where we know personally the people that are trying to represent the town council. I can't think of anything that we haven't had as president that hasn't either been a subject of one conversation or been resolved. So that, kudos to the administration for bringing these issues to them, mostly right to our shared services, whether it be what have you. So, and I don't think there's anything that I can think of in due respect to that. It's like, oh wow, yeah, we haven't talked about that. We really need to, bring that up because when those issues do come up, they address. That being said, it's always great to sit down and meet with them, discuss these individual concerns, but I can't think of any pressing issue.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we get back to that? Let's secure a date now.
Yeah.
So we leave
Otherwise,
summer.
yeah.
Scramble.
Maybe we try to look for one in the spring as well. to be honest.
I would recommend it for the fall, October, some point in October, maybe middle of October. Right, that works well. You kind of get back into school, get back into the swing of things, get everybody situated. And then before November, because November tends to be a spotty month as
Yeah.
well.
I think it was our early one in October last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And perhaps, since we have not hosted one here, I would suggest that the next one we do here in Learning Commons. And then, is the board still interested in doing 2 meetings a year? And if so, when do you propose the best time would be for such a meeting, recognizing that the vote is in May, and then the new council comes in on July 1, right? So do we want to do it in February or March?
But there's always gonna be new, because then we
Right.
have new board members rotating in and out, that's why my bias is just leave it on the calendar and.
We did the second meeting in October.
Second meeting in October.
Second meeting.
Because I also think it's good for the public, because then you have all the governing entities in one room at one time, so it's not only us having conversations with each other, but it's open to the public of having everybody under one roof.
Yeah, I think anybody's debating not having it. The question is, how do we schedule it?
And when would the preference be then for the spring?
We said that last year, that it was gonna be the end of May or June, because it was in between park testing, and in between their budget and our budget, so it would probably fall around this time again anyway.
You want to have it before the election, before
I would
the.
imagine you want
You want to have it
late
in
April.
April.
Late April.
Yeah.
That's right before the election.
I'm saying that.
Okay, well.
That's the topic that had come up last time.
Well, then there's really no, I mean, there's
Yeah,
really.
then there's
some-
no-
Get out after the
That's why
election,
there's
get out
no-
before the election,
But
and
then-
let's do like March, I mean, do it a couple months before the election.
Why did we say again that we want to be close, to be honest? I mean,
Just
That
a-
was just to almost get the momentum and the flow of that first one, was really each side kind of gave an overview of what they do and what areas could be collaborated more. And then it was just in the spirit of keeping that momentum, and the more you're in front of each other, the more you're accountable to each other.
I mean, another thing that the board could consider is doing one annual meeting, rotating it, and then perhaps organizing 2 subcommittee meetings that are easier to schedule and are informal. So that's another option in order to increase collaboration.
So why don't we,
Either way,
why don't we do this? Why don't we, instead of us unilaterally trying to decide what the agenda will be, let's secure a date for October, right? Let's just, nobody disagrees with doing that. And then let's, Ms. Fresky and one other board member, right? To meet with Mr. Dinicio and some representative council, before the end of June. I'd rather that the Board of Ed is not concerned with the schedule of the council and the timeliness of the council elections and all that. Let the council decide what dates they feel strongest about, right? And how we would juggle or define what the agenda or content would be in each meeting, right? That way we know when we're meeting, we know what the content is supposed to Great. The other discussion item, it's less of a discussion, more around just an FYI. The board became aware of a letter circulated by the Verona Education Association, the teachers union here in Verona, to all staff, that that we read as something that we strongly disagree with the substance, and we disagree with the message that it conveys to the staff. It's regarding the ongoing negotiations with the paraprofessionals and the technology staff. And tonight, we do have a resolution, given that we just found that tonight, this afternoon, that the agreement with the technology staff was ratified by the staff, so now the board can do its part and pass a resolution. That technology agreement is part of that negotiation. There are basically 3 or 4 bits of the letter that we really have to say, I can't strongly disagree with this. I guess that's the best way I put it. But the first is it alludes to, it suggests that the board is not putting any effort or any real effort into getting the contracts negotiated. And the timeline around this is that although the paraprofessionals and the technology staff carded to join the association sometime around last May, the association didn't call for any negotiation until November, which is about 6 months after the fact. So in the last 1 year, May to May, the first 6 months of that passed with no call for negotiation. When they called for negotiation somewhere around the beginning of November, we met, Ms. Fresky and I are the negotiators. For the board, we met, there was one date in November, I think that worked for the teams. There was one date in December. So throughout the month of November and December in its entirety, we met 2 times, and then we met twice in the month of January, for a grand total of somewhere between 8 and 12 hours total time. At the last meeting in January, we attempted to schedule a subsequent meeting, and the association told us they'd rather not schedule a meeting. They would go through their notes and consider what their next piece of negotiation strategy was. After about a little over a month, and with our disagreement on the matter, they applied for declaring impasse, which would bring in a state mediator to mediate the situation. We disputed that with the state, and the state agreed with our position that having spent only 8 to 12 hours total negotiating the contract, and being unclear about what language was still left to resort, which were the points that the association made in its appeal to the state. The state said, this looks like it's premature, go back to the negotiating table, and do it, in the next month. After 3 or 4, almost 4 more weeks of no dialogue, the Board of Education reached out to the association to ask, can we please meet again? Our bias is not to bring in a mediator. Our bias is to sit at the table, roll up our sleeves, and do the work. The association agreed to meet a month after that, which was May 1st. So from May of last year to May of this year, here you go. As a side note, that May 1st meeting, which was just about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, was the first meeting where we ever discussed any elements of the technology staff. So about 11 months of this passed before we sat down together with them to hear what the proposals were for the technology staff, and we got through that meeting and the subsequent meeting. The second thing is around this topic of mediation that I just talked about. There's an element in the letter that basically says that while the association filed for mediation, that they continue to negotiate or attempt to negotiate. And to be clear, from the January 25th meeting until May 1st, there were no meetings that the association was willing to attend or to work on. 0. The third thing is around grievances. There's a commentary in there that the Board of Education is citing that we're upset somehow at grievances having been filed, and it goes on to talk about what the purpose and function are of the staff filing grievances, or the union filing grievances on behalf of the staff. Make no mistake, grievances are part of something we have in every part of the contract. The board has agreed to every step in the grievance process. However, in the past 2 years, we've seen an inordinate number of grievances sense of what I mean by that, last school year, so this was the 15-16 year, there were 4 grievances filed last school year, which is more than we see in typically, I think even before that we had 1. And that was denied and went away. Last year there were 4 filed, 2 were denied and went away. 1 was declared unfounded by an arbitrator, that's 3 of the 4. And the other one was settled through arbitration with the state arbitrator. However, it had 8 complaints listed in it, or 7 complaints, something like this. And the arbitration settlement was for a new item that had never been raised to the Board of Ed before. So the arbitrator denied everything in the grievance that was filed. And through a settlement, we said, okay, it's some new thing. And that new thing was where we agreed to give a number of days' notice when there's a stipend position open for hire. We agreed to change the language to be not just advance notice, but 10 days of advance notice. That was the result of last year's cycle. This year, there were 9 grievances filed, but because these grievances go through stages of escalation, every time it gets escalated, a different cohort of administration or board or attorneys or arbitrators need to get involved, and the bills continue to mount up. Those 9 grievances have resulted in 20 escalation cycles. Every one of it may or may not have some share of legal costs associated with it. Of the 9 that were filed this year, 3 were denied at various levels and have been dropped and closed. That's a third of them. 1 was resolved. We met with the association and resolved it for a total of $150 of cash. And 5 are denied by the Board of Education, but have been that are now sitting at some place in the arbitration process, either pending arbitration, or we had arbitration and waiting for an arbitrator to opine, or some stage like that. And we feel confident that our case is solid on those. Okay? It's not a case of being upset at grievances. It's a case of being upset at the number of grievances and how and what percentage of them seem to be little to no merit. Okay? So we sent on behalf of the board, Lisa and I sent a note to all staff saying, look, we're aware of this letter. The letter, we believe, misinforms. We disagree with the substance of it. We disagree with the message it sets because we see it as divisive. And here's the timeline and the facts as we see it. And we're not opining on matters of negotiation, nor are we being suggestive or we think about anyone who looked at the letter. It's simply a matter of we're aware of it. Here's when we read it. Here's our side of the story. And that went out late today. Okay. Okay, let's start resolutions. Then we have an addendum for the tech contract, right?
We do, and I'll read that. Resolved that the Board of Education approve resolutions number 1 through number 21. Addendum personnel resolution 1 and addendum resolution number 2, which I'm going to read because the public does not have that copy. And that is resolved that the board approve and ratify the technology personnel section E contract agreement with the Varna Education Association for the term July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2021. So,
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Fresky, seconded by Mr. Elliott. Any questions? Okay. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Net?
Aye.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mrs. Fresky? Aye. Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye. Okay, that ends the board's business for tonight. Do we have any public comment or questions? We have last All right, our next meeting is going to be held on Tuesday, June 13th. We have a confidential session at 6 p.m. in the board conference room and a public session here at